I admit, I don't get it. Pop can sound, opening sound, whatever. Incoming. I don't get it. So all summer, I discussed how Alex Galchenyuk, I thought, had a decent season. I like Galchenyuk, and I still do. Here we are 4 games into the season, and what does Montreal have him doing right now? Apparently, at practice, he's on the 4th line, and word has it he could be on the 4th line in Game 5 for Montreal. Here's why I find it confusing. I get it, and before Montreal fans say anything, I know his play has been lackluster. And he's looked disinterested at times, and on TSN today they showed some misplays he's been making, some horrible, crappy passes, and just general play that's not conducive to offense or winning games. Galchenyuk's 23 years of age. He is a guy who's played, this is his this is his 6th full season in the NHL. It's been a while. Came up as a teenager, and has he peaked? I don't know. But dropping him to 4th line is frustrating because it is hard for a player to break out of a scoring slump, and he's got no points in 4 games, by dropping him to the 4th line. Now, I get why Claude Julien's doing it. Claude Julien is a guy who rewards hard work. He did in Boston, and he's doing it again in Montreal. And I like Claude Julien as a coach. I don't know that it's a good mix with Galchenyuk. Galchenyuk is a challenge. He's an enigma. To me, he's a less flamboyant version of Evander Kane. In that when he's happy and he's on, he's one of the best players on your team. But, man, if he's indifferent, he can be really bad. So, during the summer, there was all this speculation that Montreal wanted to trade Galchenyuk. And now that I see the way he's playing this year and I see the way things are going in Montreal, I'm starting to think that would have been the smart thing to do. Especially when they brought in Drouin. Bring in Drouin, and if they weren't planning on playing him and Galchenyuk together, and they haven't yet, I haven't seen them on the same line, and I don't understand. If you have Pacioretty in between, or Pacioretty on the wing, Drouin in the middle, Galchenyuk on the wing, give it a shot. The 3 of them together. Maybe that gets them going. Because what's happening right now is, with 0 points in 4 games and the amount of money he's making, no teams are going to be calling for Galchenyuk other than somebody who's trying to rip Montreal off. And Bergevin definitely has come up on the short side in certain trades. He's won certain trades, and people keep bringing up Weber. Jordy Ben was a win for Montreal. Jordy Ben's a good defenseman, but he's a good depth defenseman. He's not a top 4 guy, really. And I don't know what you do with Galchenyuk, but to me, sticking him on the 4th line seems like it's counterproductive. I've said in previous videos, to me, a bottom 6 guy is a guy who's either a checker, tougher player like a Ryan Reeves, who's an enforcer and capable of playing hockey as well, and just really solid defensively. And I don't see any of that in Galchenyuk's game. So by putting him on the 4th line, it's just decreasing his minutes. He's not going to play on a penalty kill. He may get time on the second power play unit, but that power play is 0 for 16 now, I think. I heard something like it's 0 for 16 on the season. Montreal fans get mad when I talk about Montreal, and I get it. I do. But I don't come into this with any bias for or against Montreal. I look and I see a player like Galchenyuk, and I say, this guy's 23 years of age. His best seasons are yet to come. And he's stuck in a situation where, both through his own doings and Montreal's doings, I don't know that he's set up to succeed. Bergevin can't trade a guy whose value keeps getting driven down with every shift. So this isn't on Bergevin, and I understand there's certain Montreal fans that want to be angry with Bergevin and say Bergevin's the problem, and I get that too. Totally get that. I've even been thinking over the last few days about which GMs are going to get fired and which ones actually deserve it. And I wouldn't say that Bergevin deserves to be fired for the moves he's made. He's made some good ones, he's made some bad ones, and to me, he's right in the middle. But Galchenyuk needs to get moved. Now, to me, a logical decision would be If Duchesne's still available in Colorado and Galchenyuk's available in Montreal, throw in a draft pick on each side and figure out who gives up the higher draft pick. Do a swap, and there you go. The problem with that is Colorado's off to a half-decent start, and Duchesne's a big reason for that. So is Duchesne's market value right now higher than Galchenyuk's? See, Duchesne in Montreal would make a lot of sense. It really would. You'd have your first-line center, Drouin, your second-line center, Duchesne, your third-line center, Danault, or you switch them. It doesn't matter. Your second and third-line center, in certain circumstances, are going to play roughly the same amount of minutes anyways. It solidifies that center position for Montreal and leaves them probably looking for a defenseman to shore things up. It was also mentioned, what I watched Dave Poulin talking about was, and this is something makes sense to me, is that losing Markov, losing that puck moving on the power play really hurts their special teams. So you need somebody who can really quarterback a power play. Shea Weber can tee off, but you need somebody who's going to help him tee it off. You need that guy who's going to pass you that puck. So there's some structural issues with their special teams, and to me, Galchenyuk is the big wild card here. I think a trade would help him, and I know a trade would help Matt Duchene. And Matt Duchene, French name, right? So, Duchene in Montreal seems to make some sense. Galchenyuk, American citizenship, going to Colorado would make some sense. And again, it would have to involve draft picks both ways. But we are at the stage of the game where things used to happen. You look back in the 80s, and you look at when trades got made. There were usually trades that got made late October, early November, because a team would get off to a really rough start, and a GM could go in and make moves. That's when we didn't have to worry about salary caps, and everybody was making roughly the same amount of money. And hockey trades happened, which was, I need a defenseman, you need a forward, let's swap. Because of salary cap issues and because of the length of contracts and just the amount of money involved, it's a lot harder to make a hockey trade now. But I do think there's a hockey trade between Montreal and Colorado to be had. I absolutely do. Because there's a need on both teams. And to me, like I said, part of me says, well, this is too bad for Galchenyuk, and another part of me says he's done it to himself. He belongs on the fourth line because he really hasn't shown anything to deserve more ice time. But if he doesn't play, his value doesn't go up. And if his value doesn't go up, Montreal can't trade him. So it's a rough spot that he's in. It's a rough spot Montreal's in because they need the goal scoring. Galchenyuk was supposed to be a big part of that. They'd really hoped he'd get back to 30 goal form, or at least 20, 25. Pot some goals in there, get some points, generate some offense. And part of the reason at the time it was stated that they got Drouin and they didn't trade out Galchenyuk is the idea that maybe the two of them would have some chemistry together. We don't know that yet. When are we going to find out? So the question I have, and this is geared more towards Montreal fans, is where do you see this ending? So does Galchenyuk remain with Montreal past the deadline? Is this a marriage that's bound to continue? Or is now the time to talk about, okay, it's been years. This kid, it doesn't work in Montreal. The best move we can make is to move him out and bring somebody in. And I understand he's hit some posts, he's had some bad luck, but when you really look at it, it all comes down to those stats, to those points, those goals, those assists, and they're not there for him right now. And this was, supposed to be a big season for him, and with them dwindling, drawing down his ice time, and his ice time dwindling as it is this the time? Or do you pop him up to the first line and see what he does? Let me know what you guys think. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.